at the age of 10. My mother died when I was 9 years old, so I was in the foster care system. From being in the foster care system and then trafficked by my cousin. So I was in there for about until 3 days before my 18th birthday. I got placed with a family. From being placed with a family, I thought like I needed to understand. I wanted to put meaning to certain things, and I wanted to know why did I have I had different guidelines, I had different social workers, I had so much effects in my life to, they said like, hey, this was, I was thinking like, oh, well, this shouldn't happen, But I would share my story and I would share my story and then they would tell me like, oh, this happened all the time. So I decided to go to college. I graduated from Trinity Washington University and I got my degree in criminal justice because I needed to understand. And I wanted to put meaning behind my life, and I wanted to be able to share my story in a meaningful way that I can say, well, this is why this happened.
So Ashley, one of the things that you shared with me was that the social workers and the justice system failed you. So can you give me an example of how that failed?
I feel like they failed me because it was plenty of situations. Like I was a kid that I called the police every day. So it was to a point that when I would call, they would say, Ashley, I'm coming. But it was nowhere to place me, so even though they would find me in different hotels and they would find me on the streets and they knew that it was happening, it was nowhere I could put her. Where do you want me to put her? So they would place me, I would go there and I would run away. See, in DC, if you run away, you still get sent back home because the child is still committing a crime and we would get locked up for truancy for running away. So I would still run away and I would run away and then I would get placed back there. Like 3 days later, I would be placed back, so it was like a going back and forth thing. But I remember getting arrested, and I would cry because I felt like I wanted to be locked up. I needed to be locked up. I wanted to be in prison because prison was safer to me than being home. So it was like our comfort zone. It was a way that we can connect and we can eat every day and just sleep. We don't have to have sex. We don't have to do certain things. We can just be there. And he sent me home. And I was just so sad. I'm like, how could you send me home? So it was that I was running and I was trying to find myself at the same time. And I, had to figure it out to think like, hey, why did this happen? Or why didn't? And I would talk to my guideline and I would talk to different people and they would make points or they would use things about my life to say, oh, this is okay. Oh, you turned out a certain type of way, you turned out fine, instead of using it for what it exactly meant. And that's what would hurt me the most, and that's why I wanted to share my story, and I wanted to be able to make understanding.
So it sounds like the judges sent you home, but home was the least safe place.
When they sent me home, my legal guardian was my grandmother, and she was in Detroit at this time. How do you release someone to any justice system? You got to release that person to a parent. I didn't have a parent. They released me and let me walk out at 15 years old by myself. No parent there. My parent was in Detroit at this time. And you still released me to someone. But I was in family custody too, because I belong to the state, but my father was trying to get custody of me, so they ended up releasing me to someone that didn't have custody of me, which ended up like 5 days later, they ended up getting in trouble because it's like, how did you release her to someone that has no guardianship at all?
So it sounds like the system is broken. So I want to turn to Sunita. Sunita,